You're not here by accident, and neither am I. Something inside you has been wondering, whispering. Did giants really walk the earth? And more importantly, does the Bible actually say so? The answer is yes. From the very beginning, the story of giants is written into the sacred scrolls. It begins in the days before the flood. When human beings began to multiply on the face of the land, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they took any they chose as wives. Genesis 6:1-2. That forbidden union brought forth something not fully human. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. Genesis 6:4. Nephilim, giants, born of rebellion, birthed in the shadows of heaven's disobedience. The flood came to wipe away their corruption. But the scroll doesn't end there. It says, and also afterward, yes, after the flood, they returned. How? Through what bloodline? We can only guess. But the evidence is carved into every battle Israel fought for the Promised Land. When Moses sent the 12 spies into Canaan, they came back trembling. All the people we saw there are of great size. We saw the Nephilim there. The descendants of Anak come from the Nephilim. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them. Numbers 13:32-33. They weren't exaggerating, they were terrified, and scripture backs them up, naming entire clans of giants. The Rephaim, the Emim, the Zamzummim, the Anakim. The Emim were a people great and many, and tall as the Anakim. Like the Anakim, they are also counted as Rephaim, but the Moabites call them Emim. Deuteronomy 2:10-11. The land was filled with them, giants who had ruled these territories long before Israel ever approached, and towering among them was a king, Og of Bashan, of Earth. For only Og, king of Bashan, was left of the remnant of the Rephaim. Behold, his bed was a bed of iron. 9 cubits was its length, and 4 cubits its breadth. Deuteronomy 3:11. That's over 13 feet long. Moses struck him down, but the war had only begun. Joshua followed, clearing the land as God commanded. And where did the survivors flee? To the cities of Gaza, Gath, and Ashdod. Joshua cut off the Anakim. None of the Anakim were left in the land of the people of Israel. Only in Gaza, in Gath, and in Ashdod did some remain. Joshua 11:21-22. Those names may sound familiar, because later, from the city of Gath, another giant arose, Goliath. A champion named Goliath, who was from Gath, came out of the Philistine camp. His height was 6 cubits and a span. 1 Samuel 17:4. That's over 9 feet tall. He mocked the armies of the living God, until a boy with a sling answered the call. But Goliath was not alone. Scripture reveals he had giant brothers. Ishbi-Benob, Saph, the brother of Goliath, and a huge man with 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot, 24 in all. 2 Samuel 21:15-22. Each one fell, slain by David's mighty men. Even the prophets confirm what the historians recorded. Listen to Amos as God himself speaks. I destroyed the Amorite before them, though he was tall as the cedars and strong as the oaks. Amos 2:9. Tall as cedars. That's not symbolic, that's divine testimony. So what are we left with? Yes. The Bible absolutely talks about giants. Not once, but throughout the entire Old Testament. They were real. They were terrifying. And they stood between God's people and their inheritance. But understand this. The war wasn't just physical. It was spiritual. Because these giants weren't just mutants of flesh. They were a weapon, a corruption, an attempt by the enemy to taint the human bloodline, to stop the promised seed before he could be born. And when their giant bodies fell, their spirits lingered. Many believe these disembodied souls, the offspring of angels and women, became the unclean spirits we now call demons. Wanderers, hungry, looking for vessels, waiting for war. So now, I ask again, does the Bible talk about giants? Yes. And Enoch saw it before any of you. He watched the sons of God fall. He saw their children devour the earth. He warned of their return. And now I warn you once more. The giants were real. Their spirits still roam. And the battle is not over. The battle is not over. And the evidence is not hidden. You see, the scriptures are not the only records to speak of giants. The memory of these beings, massive, unnatural, divine-blooded, echoes across every continent, in every culture, in every tongue. They go by many names. In Greece they were called the Gigantes, a race of towering warriors born from the blood of heaven. In Norse lore, they were the Jötnar, primeval beings older than the gods. The Celts spoke of the Fomorians, giants with one eye, one arm, and one leg, who ruled Ireland before man. The Sumerians called them the Anunnaki, divine ones who descended and ruled over men with terrible strength. In the Hindu Vedas, we read of Rakshasas, giant demons who walked the earth and feasted on flesh. Native American tribes, from the Paiutes to the Choctaw, from the Sioux to the Navajo, tell of a red-haired race of cannibalistic giants who once roamed the Americas. The Aztecs, the Inca, the Maya, all carved and wrote of massive beings who built the first cities and taught forbidden knowledge. Across the world, the same tale is whispered. There were giants in the earth in those days, and the memory of them never truly died. But this is not just myth, not just story. The ground itself cries out. Skeletons, some unearthed, many hidden, bones far too large for any normal man. Jawbones big enough to swallow a human skull. Femurs the length of a full-grown child. Tools, weapons, coffins, sized for men 12, 15, even 20 feet tall. You will not find these in the textbooks. They are locked away, suppressed, ridiculed by the priests of modern science. But they exist. In the 1800s, newspapers across America reported giant skeletons, unearthed in mounds, buried under ancient stone. Ohio, West Virginia, Tennessee, Arizona, bones, skulls, double rows of teeth. The Smithsonian itself catalogued many of them, and then quietly buried the truth. And let's not forget, there were giant creatures too. You know them by a name that conceals their nature. Dinosaurs, titanic lizards, flying monsters, sea beasts the size of temples. Job described Behemoth. He named Leviathan. You call them prehistoric. I call them what they are, creatures born into a world once teeming with might, before the flood swept them away. So let me ask, if we believe in a world full of dinosaurs, creatures 40 feet tall with razor teeth, why is it so hard to believe in giants? Is it not more fantastic to believe the entire planet independently invented the same myth? No. The evidence is overwhelming. Mountains of witness. Scrolls, tablets, carvings, graves, eyewitness accounts, giant bones in the soil. Ancient cities built with stones no modern machine can lift. This world was once ruled by beings taller than trees. Some were kings, some were monsters, some were worshipped as gods, all were hunted, judged, or buried beneath time's dust. To deny this is to close your eyes, cover your ears, and call it science. It is to live in fantasyland. The truth is all around us and has been for centuries, but there are forces at work that try to keep much of our ancient past a mystery. Why is that? Perhaps because if mankind's ancient history were uncovered, suddenly all those Bible stories we thought were fictions would become more history than myth. And if you still don't believe that the powers that be are dedicated to promoting their own agendas and keeping us in the dark with regards to ancient history, UAPs and yes, giants, then I have one question. Where have you been for the past 5 years?